Randomly selected is an opportunity for people to hear it and feel it. Have you ever been pulled away from something just on a whim, out of nowhere? Randomly selected. Ever had some food that you really liked, but it was deemed terrible for you to eat? Randomly selected. What we want to do with this show is kind of flip that. This is our opportunity to give you something that you need, where you get a chance to hear from the notables and the quotables, people who are famous and not so famous. It's a chance to listen to questions that people want to ask these people. Randomly selected, powered by the Silver Room, hosted by me, Mario Smith. And by the way, please feel free to reach out to your friends and neighbors and tell them to subscribe. Hope you enjoy it. Peace. Peace, everybody. It's Mario. Welcome to Randomly Selected, powered by the Silver Room. You can catch Randomly Selected on the first day of each month. And you get it wherever podcasts are available, like where you're listening to it now. I don't know how you did it, but congratulations. Hard work. Joining us on the show, this episode is with Brandon Breaux, an amazing visual artist and contemporary and mentor and leader of the new school, all that stuff. We get a chance to talk to him about his art and about his community building and other things. Thanks to everybody for listening to the show. Thank you, and keep telling your people and keep subscribing. Joining us now, Mr. Brandon Breaux. So we are indeed live on 53rd Street in beautiful Hyde Park. I'm not going to go through the downtown Hyde Park thing with you. I already did that episode or two before. But we are here. We are in a secret location high above the ground on 53rd Street with Brandon Breaux, an amazing community builder, visual artist, a great dude who I have seen walk around our fine neighborhood for a long, long time. And I had, and we're not like fast friends, but before I found out who you were, I knew who you were. I saw your work. I was like, man, that dude he got an eye. He can, his hand is steady. And then everything blows up with the Chance albums and the mixtapes and stuff. And it's just like, it's been a nonstop ride for you, man. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Randomly Selected. And,
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking time out of changing our world to come and talk for a few. For people who don't know you, I kind of want to, I suppose starting at the beginning is a place to start. You're a Chicagoan.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
How does your Chicago experience inform your art?
Yeah. My Chicago experience informs my art in every way. I really feel like that. I feel like in every way. And the reason I say that is because when I was a child and I first started to draw, 4 or 5, I was like young.
Yeah.
I was drawing my family. And my mom has this old sketch, first drawing that I know I have, and I was drawing her and trying to draw her glasses and all of this stuff.
Right.
And what I realized is that even the lens through which we show up, the environments that we are around, the environments that we live in, has an impact on how we show up. And for me, just family, like going back to those moments with family, mm-hmm. and having so many characters in my family and around the family has just been informed me so much, yeah. and has brought my tone to things. And I didn't realize that earlier, but as I grow, the breadcrumbs are all in the sauce,
I feel you.
And it's there.
Do you feel like, I mean, you mentioned your family, yeah. and having an opportunity to turn them on to what you were doing before you even knew that this was something you really wanted to do? I mean, yeah. I suppose it's like learning how to read, right? When your people first discover that, oh, he can actually draw. He's good with it. It's not just like him. Example, if something were to happen right now and like terrorists busted in here and said, all right, Mario, you got to draw everybody in this room. I hate to tell you, but we're all gone. Every one of us is out of here. By virtue of people being able to see your people, your family being able to see what you're doing and giving you that encouragement and those little tools you needed to be able to flourish and to grow, that had to be quite helpful. As opposed to the alternative of like, you can't do it. You're not going to be able to sing this song or play baseball or whatever.
Yeah.
And are they still like part of that encouragement for you to keep moving?
Yeah, I think the thing about the beginning is you don't know what it is. No one knows what it is. You're just doing something because it feels like the thing to do.
Right.
And you're drawn to it because there's a certain part of it that's intriguing or that keeps bringing you back to the thing. And you have to see it a couple times. Usually a lot of people are like, okay, this kid is focused on this for whatever reason, and this might be a thing.
Right.
You know, and then it becomes that. And I think the more that you start to surprise yourself, and then you start to surprise family, and they're like, oh shit, this is real, you know?
Right.
And the more that they see themselves in it, you know, they look at you, they see the resemblance of them. So I think that encourages a lot more people to even, family to even be more encouraging. But my family from the beginning always saw that. And my mom really mainly was just the one that was there. And then the teacher started saying it to her.
Where'd you go to school?
So I went to school. My first school that I went to was Francis de Paul. Francis de Paula was a Catholic school on 79th, in between 78th and 79th and Evans.
I know exactly where that is. Okay.
It's a Catholic parish.
Okay, yeah.
And then they closed it.
Right.
And tuition the whole thing. So my mom put me in public school. And the first school I went to, public school, was Peary, John T. Peary.
Yes.
Yeah, on 85th.
Absolutely. I know where that is.
Mm-hmm. And then Dixon from Peary.
Okay.
Chas for high school. Yeah. So
is that how you met? Is that how you came into contact with Chance?
Nah, not at all. Like me and Chance aren't even the same generation. But I think how I came into it's the peculiar thing. It's the Chicago thing. It's the neighborhood, the air. Really how I came. I feel like how I came in contact with Chance was through Hyde Park and the culture that's in Hyde Park, because that's where I met Brother Mike.
Rest in peace, Brother Mike. That was my man.
Yeah. So, and he influenced. You know, we were breaking. We were at the point. I was coming to Promontory Point every day. First it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then we just every day.
Yeah. We
were dancing at the point, and the director over there, will open for us every day.
You know what, man? I remember. I remember when Mike had first started doing poetry. We used to be at Lit X up north, up in Wicker Park. And he would always kind of like hint that he had some B-boy in him. And we would always be like, what are you doing? And he would bust out a dance every now and then. I'm like, hey, man, stop that. Stick to poetry. I miss that dude. And I can totally see how he would be able to say, you know, you need to check this brother out. So when talking to Brandon, one of the things that I learned was that his influence is guided by people who you know, and also by a person you probably have never heard of. But if you have heard of Brother Mike, you would understand that it just proves how wide that man's net is in hip hop and in art in general. And talking to Brandon, I learned that Kanye West is a big influence on the brother, and there's a good reason why.
So early on, I started classes at the Art Institute. My mom started to put me in these early college program. Of course, there's the Art Institute. And I was interested in a lot of things with art, but I didn't have a language for what things were. Like, I didn't know the highlights, shadows,
Yeah.
And the thing that gave me, because I was figuring all this stuff out on my own and just playing with it as much as I can without having a way to identify it. And you can only do so much when you don't have a language for a thing and you can't really identify it.
Right.
So at that point, it just opened up so much for me. And I started to I started to really get into it, I started to really do the assignment, you know what I mean, in my best capacity. And that's when kind of realism started to really like take place. But for me, I guess as far as like what I do now in portraiture, just remove myself and my ego away from it. Mm-hmm. I think when you are depicting a person, you have a responsibility to build it as close as you can to the likeness of that person is like the most fundamental thing. And all of the other things are how I bring my identity and my perception and my perspective through it. But when I'm doing portraits, especially, that's a thing. Like, it's great to be, for me at least, to interpret an individual. Mm-hmm. But we're dealing in a space where like art is used for commerce and it's mass produced. Like, this thing got to look like the person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's got to be the truest representation of this individual. So I draw a real hard line when it comes to that. Like when I did the 28 Days of Greatness series, like I'm not trying to put portraits of people that don't look like the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like show them like in the bad light. So that's where that comes from.
I think music is a lot like that too, right? Or at least it used to be, where it was a responsibility of the artist to make sure that their true, real self came out in their work. So if you saw or if you heard a song that captured your soul, that grabbed you, you're like, man, that's how you do that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, a lot has changed because now you can cheat a little bit in art and visual drawing. You don't really need to have the training, so to speak, because a lot of cats can grab a computer and, they have assistants in making that picture become what it is, but it loses some of its spirit. And I don't see that in any of your work. In your work, I see a lot of time dedicated to making sure that not just the portraiture part, but just that your representation is true. It's like you talked about how it has to be just like that person because it's mass produced and it's being so. And you talked once about visual branding. What does that mean exactly for folks that are listening? When you say visual branding.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. For me, visual branding really means a visual cue that draws you back to a source, right? And hints that draw you back to when it was the inception, when it was first created, right? Mm-hmm. So like a language, it could be a color system, it could be an approach, but something that is set that you can have iterations of, but also keeps its integrity with its original form.
Yeah.
Even if it evolves, even if it grows, So that's what I see it as. I mean, larger brands have brand identity systems. They have a logo and they have certain typefaces they use and certain things that they use, right? Yeah. So I think about that when I think about visual branding, right? Like, how is this composition? And I think that's what we did for the Chance work.
Is that part of the problem, maybe, though, in your eyes, with a lot of artists unable to really express themselves fully? You know what I'm saying? Without having to go, okay, I gotta sell this. I need to make some bread. I'm broke.
Yeah.
Does that hamper more than it does help?
It can be. I think that's a good point. I worked in ad agencies for a very long time, and sometimes when you start doing those things, it's hard to unlearn.
Yeah.
And sometimes even when you go to art school and you get this official training of this is the right way to do it, it's hard to unlearn or live outside of that space. So when they say kids are true geniuses, and you think about artists like Gauguin and Picasso, they were trying to paint like they would have if they didn't get any instruction. Like, they were really trying to go back. And you hear Kanye later, he starts talking about that when he gets to the Beautiful, Dark, Twisted. Like, I'm trying to create as if I was 5. I'm trying to create without any obstruction of people telling me how I should think about this thing.
Is that somebody that you look toward for inspiration, people like Kanye?
Yeah, definitely. And the reason is because I feel like in a way, Kanye, he brought together a lot of separation that was happening in the genre. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for finding ways to balance what naturally, what separates people.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of things get like that in record companies. They want to put you in this box with these artists. They want to put you in this box with this artist. He kind of like made it so they couldn't do that. Like
he created his own box.
Yeah,
that only one person could fit in.
Right, and it evolved the media. It evolved the genre.
Brandon's process is very unique. In chatting with him, I learned that he is very dedicated to getting it right. And you check the brother out. Just listen to him and figure how you kind of can apply some of those practices to your own practice, whatever that might be.
I just do what makes the most sense, and I do what has the most intersections, and what also allows me to do the most, because I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of things that I want to do, so I have to find methods of doing multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
When I create.
Yeah.
So that was a reflection of that, and a setback in what happened in 2020. Like, what's the best? I want to do something for Black History Month. That would be great. What's the best thing I can do? What did I do in 2020? Well, I did 150 consecutive days of meditation at 6 a.m. Oh, what if I do a consecutive thing day during the month of February? You know what I mean? A lot of it's just like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Right. Check, you know what I mean? And so I just kind of add my equations like that. And I try to, I needed, like, okay, cool. It's a consistent body of work that I'm putting out at a consistent pace. Mm-hmm. Great. So I can, people that are looking for artists, are looking to buy, and Black artists, they have a consistent body of work that they can relate to and they can see unfold in front of them. Great. It fills that need too. We can talk about the heroes that we have now. Because one of my things always with Black history, I think proximity is a huge thing. Like, if people learning about Black history when I was a kid, the thing that stood out to me was that I've not known these people. I have no access to the people, and I think doesn't mean I'm any less proud to be Black.
Yeah.
But it means, what would the difference be if this is somebody that I can walk down the street with now?
Yeah, yeah.
And like have this experience with them now. And how do we celebrate ourselves in this moment? Mm-hmm. 2020 taught us that we're not guaranteed the time with people too. So we have to start celebrating these moments now and being in the moment now as well. So that's kind of like, it was a soup, man. There was a lot of different things that went into that.
Yeah.
In that one, that was my process, and it's becoming more refined in that way. I'll get an idea or get a thought. I'll see colors. I'll have a dream, and I'll incorporate that into the equation of whatever it'll inform me. Yeah. Right.
Do you sometimes go? I'm not implying that I know how big you think, but do you think so big sometimes that you kind of like scare yourself? You're like, hold on, I don't know if I can actually do that, but then you try and do it anyway.
I always laugh when if something like, you know, because I think that I don't know, that's just like my reaction to it. I get excitement. It's just like laughter, right?
Yeah. I understand that. That's why I ask, because sometimes I like, if there's a project that I'm thinking about doing in my head, I will go, there's no way in hell
right exactly.
that this is gonna work, and then it ends up happening because I don't want to stop. I don't want to be the one that says I tried to do something and I stopped doing it. Case in point, we did a concert for Donny Hathaway 2 years ago at Millennium Park here in Chicago downtown, and it took 7 years for that project to happen. It took from the day I thought about it, me talking to Corey Wilkes about it, and then starting to reach out to all these people. Some I knew and some I didn't. Some with millions of dollars, some with none. And just telling them, I'm doing this and I need your help. Having setbacks and all kinds of stuff. But always every now and then laughing, going, there's no way in hell this is going to ever happen. And then being on stage and it happened. I'm like, ooh, shit, okay. This happened. So I know what you mean. It sometimes... we dream so big and it sounds so impossible because we keep hearing somebody saying you can't do that, but who says you can't?
Yeah,
if somebody would have told you 20 years before you did it, you're going to have your work on one of the largest selling albums of all time, you would have been like, yeah, word. Okay. And then it happens? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Those are moments you cannot predict what that's like.
Yeah. You can't even plan them either.
Right,
you put the intention into the space and you let like the universe, you let your belief, take the wheel, really, right? Yeah. So I think that's like my life. The things that I do is a collaboration between myself and universal law and universal order. And so I try to like, as much as like do stuff, get out of the way when I don't need to be talking. Try to be.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir. Yes, thank you. See, what people can't see on Randomly Selected is there's a person telling me how much time I have left. And as you can hear from outside, I'm going to tell you a Randomly Selected secret. After this is over, I'll tell you a secret. I have a great memory of a great artist, my friend Dale Washington, who made his transition right at the beginning of COVID in 2020. And going to his house, there would literally be thousands of pieces all over his crib. Like everywhere, except for where he ate and where he slept, like in his studio. And if you go to his house, same thing. A lot of pieces, but they were all kind of placed in whatever he was working on. There was a section for this thing, a section for that thing. If I walked into your studio or your house, would you be like, hold on, let me move some of this stuff out the way? Is it pieces of just unfinished or finished work like everywhere in your crib?
Yeah, there are definitely things where you can't, yeah.
Right.
It's
your girlfriend come through like, Brandon, what we doing?
Oh yeah, I've had like, stories of like, you need to organize this. I'm about to go ahead and do
Oh,
so,
man, that's funny.
Yeah, that's a part of it. I think that's a part of the journey. And I'm trying to be better about that too. But then I'm also moving into the digital art space. So it's kind of like we're doing more because the chance work was digital art.
Right.
It wasn't what I expected, but I'm starting to like even embrace it more. Now the NFTs are going. I'm taking my time, like hopping into the whole NFT game. And NFT is what's called a non-fungible token. So it's pretty much like backed by crypto.
You big on the cryptocurrency?
No, I wouldn't say I'm big on it, but I'm aware. I know about it. I know what's going on. But
I hear a lot of black folks like speaking in the crypto language, and I'm digging that. I kind of like that we have our own lane. When it comes to cryptocurrency, it's a very interesting time for that. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on.
No. That was it. That's all I was saying. As much as I think artist journey is a journey of self-discovery, and I think at this point, I'm embracing all aspects of my prior work and my statements moving forward is a conscious attempt to incorporate my learnings completely, not just the ones that, like, oh, I feel like this is going to be the thing. Just really being honest with myself. Like, digital work is a part of my body of work. I shouldn't shy away from that.
I appreciate you being on, man. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you for helping me make this show even better. By having you here, it has become one of the greatest shows ever. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
And please don't tell Chance that I called it Acid Trip.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to hear this or not. Chance, Mr. Rapper, if you hear this, bro, I did not mean Acid Trip. I don't know what you do. That's your personal business. Thanks again, man, for being on Randomly Selected. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Randomly Selected and our guest, Brandon Breaux. Truly appreciate your patronage. Check us out the first of each month, wherever you get your podcasts, and tell your people to subscribe, just like you did. See you next time on Randomly Selected.